For the second half of the day. So big thank you to my colleague Lisa Burke, who did a fantastic job of the morning session. I was at home watching on the live stream, so big hello to everybody who is watching on the live stream from all parts of the world. It was really amazing to see all the comments coming through. People are saying, hi, I'm watching from Ghana, I'm watching from Switzerland. So welcome to everybody watching at home as well. And welcome to anybody who's just joining us for the second half. So I think some people were very tactical and arrived at 1 o'clock just in time for lunch, which is very smart indeed. So I hope you are feeling fueled and full and ready for an afternoon of fantastic discussions and more networking as well. So we are going to kick off with a talk by Pieter Fossel, who is the CEO of Hydrosat. And this is all about innovating for global impact. And Pieter is going to talk about how European innovators can magnify their impact by putting the developing world at the center of their strategy. So we're going to kick off with that in just a moment. Just to remind you as well, if you do want to use any social media, you can use hashtag IFF2024 and tag us at ICFA or at ISFA. We have our ongoing sessions in here, and then we have our breakout sessions, which are you take the lift down and then the stairs up, okay? Just to confuse you and keep you on your toes. And later at 5 o'clock, we will have a recap of those breakout sessions. So without further ado, please welcome Pieter Fossel.
Hello? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you all, and thank you, Melissa. Great to be kicking off the afternoon session together with you. As Melissa said, I'm Pieter Fossel. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Hydrosat. Hydrosat is a climate technology company based here in Luxembourg, but we also operate around the world, which is why I wanted to talk to you today about innovating for global impact. Even as a relatively small company, we're around a little over 50 people, we put global challenges and global opportunities at the center of our strategy. And so I just wanted to share a couple of key themes with you today. So this is our world. This is the world, at least as you might think about it, the map that we're all familiar with. But this is our world by population. This is our world by total carbon emissions. And this is our world if we look at just the people that are most at risk from climate change. So as you can see, many of us here are in Europe. I know we're joined by many people from around the world today. But being here in Europe, we can innovate here, but we can't focus our innovations here. We need to focus our innovations globally in order to have a global impact. And so I would posit to you that if you don't have an India strategy, if you don't have a Africa strategy, if you don't have a Latin America strategy, you're not going to have an impact. And so that's really, I think, very, very important for us as a business, and really for any technology company that wants to be able to scale their impact globally. So when we're thinking about how to have a global impact, we like to think about three fundamental questions. So the first question is, are we addressing a global problem? Is this, something that we're working on that affects people all around the world? The second question that we ask ourselves is, does our solution scale? Is the solution that we're building, the technical fix, so to speak, one that will work all over the world? Not just in Europe, not just in North America, not just in China, but in every country on the planet? And if the answer is no, then you probably don't have a global impact strategy. The third question, and this is arguably the most important, do we have a way to reach partners globally? Because if you develop a great solution, a great technology, a great financing mechanism, but you are limited in your ability to bring those solutions to India, to Africa, to Latin America, then you're really going to be limiting your global impact. And so these are the three questions that we asked ourselves when we were starting Hydrosat. I'll tell you a little bit about our journey just as an example, only because it's the example that I know best. And so with that, I'd like to start with this image, or this quarter image. Usually it's a little bit bigger, but so we are a geospatial company. So we like to think about Earth and looking at Earth from space. And so this is the first photo ever taken of our planet from space. If you want to think about it, it was humanity's first selfie. It was the first opportunity we got to see what our planet looks like from outside of our planet. And this did so much to kick off the environmental movement around the world, so much to kick off environmental awareness. And really, the climate movement probably would not have taken off the way that it has were it not for this photo taken in 1968 by an Apollo 8 astronaut. And what makes Earth so unique is water. It's the water that covers 70% of our Earth's surface, that forms as cloud vapor and falls as rain and makes life on Earth and everything else that we've done possible. And for the last 10,000 years, we have been able to develop as a species, as humans, because we learned how to harness that water for the very first time in the form of irrigation. And everything that we've built as a species is because we learned how to irrigate, we learned how to grow an agricultural surplus, which allowed us to transition from being a hunter-gatherer society to forming villages and then towns and ultimately cities and civilizations. None of that would have been possible without irrigation and water management. And that's been a largely very positive story until today. Because the thing about water, and why this, again, is a global challenge that we decided to take on, is that it isn't abundant everywhere. And in fact, in many of the places where our populations are growing the most, water is actually becoming acutely very scarce. And so when we look at the annual freshwater availability per capita, much of the world's population is living now below what we call the water stress line, which is around 1,800 cubic meters of water per person per year. And this is only getting worse. And so when we look at countries like India, now the world's largest population, surpassing China several years ago, if we look at other very fast demographically growing areas like Pakistan, Egypt, Bangladesh, many of these populations are starting to live below what we call the absolute water scarcity line. So effectively running out of water. So again, massive global challenge worthy of a global impact strategy. So in terms of our solutions, so what did we decide to set out to do in order to tackle this with something that would scale beyond Europe, where we started, and beyond North America, where most of our early customers were, but to be able to work in Latin America and India and in the Middle East and Africa. And so what we set out to do, our vision was to increase global food production while decreasing water use. And our goals were pretty lofty. What if we could save 30% every field on irrigated water requirement? What if we could increase crop production by 50%? And what if that crop production with less irrigation would also lead to less carbon impact and less electricity demand? So pretty lofty challenges for this global problem. And that's what we've set out to do with our IrriWatch product. So this is a software product that helps farmers, growers around the world increase crop yields with less water by helping them to decide when and where to irrigate and to do that more efficiently based on real-time data, real-time information from satellites. And this is where our global scale comes in. So in order to do this, in order to reach every single agricultural field all around the world, no matter what continent it's on, we knew we could not rely on any hardware in the field. We knew we could not rely on any people in the field because things like people and hardware don't scale globally. But satellites do. Satellites allow us, with a single satellite, to cover the entire Earth in time. And with multiple satellites, we can cover every field on Earth every single day. And so that's what we set out to do, global scale for a global problem. But that left us with arguably the most important enabler, which is global partnerships. Because if we have this data, if we have this solution, and we have this global problem we want to tackle, we're not going to get anywhere without global partnerships. And so we set out to develop a partner network. We have companies and organizations that we work with in 43 different countries that bring our solutions to local farmers, local growers in those regions. Sometimes we're working directly with the governments, as we do in Central Asia. Sometimes we're working through local irrigation equipment companies, through local sugar mills, to reach farmers in these areas. But for us, it's vitally important to build that global partnership network. So I'll just end with a couple of examples. Right now, we're working with a global seed company, so a company that produces agricultural seeds, and we're supporting them with methane reduction in rice in India. Methane from rice is one of the largest contributors of greenhouse gases in agriculture related to irrigation, and so they're using our data to help farmers in India grow the same amount of rice with less water, which also reduces methane. And they were able to find that they saved 40% on water and 45% on methane. And this was all without having a single person from our company in India, but we had a great partner there, and we had great scalable data. Another example, Kazakhstan. Through a local partner, a Kazakh partner, we are providing data to the government of Kazakhstan to manage several of their canal command areas. And they're using that data to help plan better irrigation schemes, to help plan where water should go within those canal areas for the most optimal effect, for the most optimal growth. Like India, Central Asia in general, and Kazakhstan in particular, is particularly water stressed. Another example, sugar mill in Guatemala. This is one of the commercial companies we work with directly, and they're able to use our product locally to have an impact with sugar growers in Guatemala. So I'll end there, but I just wanted to come back to these three core pillars that we thought about when we were setting out to start our company. One, you have to address a global problem. Two, you have to build a solution that scales. And finally, you have to build a partnership network globally to bring that solution everywhere in the world if you want to have the maximum impact. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Pieter. And if you would like to show your appreciation online through the SwapCard app or on the SwapCard webpage, you can do through the chat function, and we'd love to hear your thoughts and also where you are listening from and watching from, whether it's in the room or abroad, somewhere afar. So next we're going to have something a little bit different. We are going